The sands of time whisper many names, but few names resonate with the power, the majesty, the sheer awe-inspiring weight of Ramses the Great. His reign marked a golden age of Egyptian civilization, an age of expansion, architectural splendor, and artistic flourish. Ramses II was born a prince, his destiny entwined with the very fabric of Egypt. His grandfather, Ramses I, seized the throne, establishing the 19th dynasty. His father, Seti I, continued the dynasty's expansionist policies. Even as a boy, Ramses accompanied his father on military campaigns, receiving a first-hand education in the art of war. By the time his father passed, Ramses was already a formidable figure, ready to claim his birthright. As Ramses ascended to the throne, the Hittites posed a constant threat to Egypt's northern borders. Their rivalry culminated in one of the most famous battles of the ancient world, a clash that would determine the fate of the Near East. Ramses II, born into greatness, was groomed for power from the moment he could walk. His grandfather, Ramses I, had been a self-made king, and his father, Seti I, expanded Egypt's borders. Ramses learned to read hieroglyphs, studied the stars, and most importantly, mastered the art of war. He was never destined for an ordinary life. Seti personally oversaw Ramses's military training. Ramses, still a boy, accompanied his father on campaign, learning to wield a sword and command troops. These experiences forged Ramses into a formidable warrior, a prince who fought with the ferocity of a lion. Seti I fell ill, and Ramses, barely a man, ascended to the throne. He was crowned Ramses II, ruler of Upper and Lower Egypt. Determined to carve his own legend, Ramses vowed to eclipse the reigns of his forefathers. The time for Ramses, the time for a new legend, had begun. Ramses, a warrior king, turned his gaze north towards the Hittites. He assembled his armies, tens of thousands strong, to meet the Hittite challenge head-on. His destination, Kadesh, a strategic city near the Orontes River. The fate of the Near East would be decided on the dusty plains outside Kadesh's walls. The two armies clashed beneath a merciless sun. Ramses, at the head of his troops, fought like a man possessed. He rallied his bodyguard and charged into the heart of the Hittite ranks, turning the tide of battle. The Hittite king watched in awe as Ramses carved a path of destruction through his army. The Battle of Kadesh cemented Ramses' reputation as a warrior king. Years of skirmishes followed, leading to an uneasy truce. A peace treaty, the first of its kind, was signed, establishing fixed borders and mutual assistance. Ramses spent the rest of his reign strengthening Egypt's defenses. Ramses knew that true immortality lay in creation. His reign would be an age of unparalleled building, a testament to his power and piety. Temples and monuments would rise across the land, their shadows stretching across time. No pharaoh before him, and none since, would match the sheer audacity of Ramses the Builder. Nowhere was Ramses' ambition more evident than at Abu Simbel. 4 colossal statues, each a mirror image of the pharaoh, guarded the entrance to the temple. Inside, hypostyle halls led to a sanctuary where statues of the most important deities resided. Abu Simbel was a statement of Ramses' divine power and his place in the eternal order. Across the Nile, Ramses built his mortuary temple, the Ramesseum. The Ramesseum was a city of the dead, where priests performed daily rituals to ensure his spirit's well-being. Colossal statues of Ramses guarded the temple's entrance. The Ramesseum was a testament to Ramses' boundless ambition and his desire to leave an indelible mark on the world. The Battle of Kadesh revealed a sobering truth. The Hittites would not be easily vanquished. Ramses recognized the cost of endless war and sought peace. He dispatched envoys north, seeking dialogue with his adversaries. The price of peace, Ramses knew, might be higher than the spoils of war. The road to peace, winding and treacherous, led through the heart of diplomacy. Messages carried by swift messengers traveled between Thebes and Hattusa, the Hittite capital. Years passed, seasons turned, as the two empires, wary but weary of war, inched towards an accord. Ramses, a shrewd negotiator, proposed a solution both bold and unprecedented, a marriage alliance. He would offer his daughter, a princess of the Egyptian royal bloodline, as a bride to the Hittite king. Such a union, he reasoned, would forge a bond stronger than any treaty, a lasting peace built on family ties. The Hittite king Hattusili III recognized the wisdom in Ramses' offer. He accepted, eager to secure his kingdom's borders and usher in an era of prosperity. The treaty, inscribed on tablets of silver, was a landmark achievement, the first of its kind in the ancient world. It established fixed borders, guaranteed mutual assistance in times of need, and most importantly, sealed the union between the two empires with a royal wedding. With peace secured, Ramses turned his attention inward, towards the flourishing of his kingdom. The Nile, lifeblood of Egypt, flowed generously under his reign, its annual floods predictable and bountiful. The granaries overflowed with grain, the markets teemed with goods from distant lands. Ramses, the warrior king, proved himself an adept administrator, a builder who understood that true power lay not just in conquering lands, but in nurturing the prosperity of his people. He commissioned irrigation canals, expanding farmland and increasing agricultural output. He encouraged trade, his ships laden with gold, grain and papyrus, sailing the Mediterranean, their sails billowing with the winds of commerce. Temples, more magnificent than any built before, rose across the land, testaments to Ramses' piety and his desire to honor the gods who had granted him such a long and prosperous reign. Artists and craftsmen, their skills unmatched, adorned these temples with intricate carvings and vibrant paintings, their work imbued with the spirit of a golden age. Ramses, the warrior, the builder, the diplomat, had secured his legacy. His name, etched in stone and whispered on the desert winds, would forever be synonymous with an era of Egyptian greatness, a time of peace, prosperity, and unparalleled architectural achievement. He was Ramses the Great, and his legend would endure, a beacon from a glorious past illuminating the sands of time. Time, that relentless sculptor, carves its passage even on the faces of kings. Ramses, once a young pharaoh, his eyes burning with ambition, felt the weight of years settling upon his shoulders like the desert sands accumulating at the base of his monuments. Decades had passed since his chariots thundered across the plains of Kadesh. His hair, once as black as the obsidian statues lining his temple walls, now shimmered with silver. His movements, once swift and decisive as a striking cobra, had slowed, measured, each step a testament to the passage of time. Yet his mind, sharp as ever, remained a fortress, a storehouse of wisdom gleaned from a life lived on the grandest of scales. He had known war and peace, tasted victory and accepted the bitter tang of compromise. He had loved and lost, buried wives, children and friends, their souls journeying to the afterlife while he remained, anchored to the mortal realm by the weight of his crown. Ramses, in his twilight years, found solace not in the clamour of the court, but in the quiet company of scribes and priests. He pored over ancient scrolls, seeking wisdom in the words of his predecessors. He walked among the monuments he had built, his hand trailing along cool stone, as if seeking to imprint his essence upon them, to cheat time's inevitable embrace. To his subjects, Ramses was more than a king. He was a god among mortals, the living embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed deity. His power was absolute, his will unquestioned. His image, rendered in granite and gold, adorned every temple, every public space, a constant reminder of his divine right to rule. They told tales of his exploits, his voice booming like thunder, his gaze capable of withering enemies and inspiring unwavering loyalty in his followers. He was the Lion of Kadesh, the builder of cities, the Pharaoh who had brought peace and prosperity to the two lands. Ramses, ever the pragmatist, understood the power of this image, this carefully cultivated aura of divinity. He played his role with grace and authority, knowing that the stability of his kingdom rested upon the belief, carefully nurtured over decades, that he was not just a king, but a living god. Yet, in the solitude of his chambers, as the shadows lengthened and the flickering flames of oil lamps danced upon the walls, Ramses allowed himself a flicker of doubt. Was he truly a god? Or was he, beneath the trappings of power, merely a man subject to the same frailties, the same inevitable fate, as the humblest peasant tilling his fields along the Nile's banks? The question, unanswered, would follow Ramses to his tomb. He died as he had lived, surrounded by splendor, his body mummified with the utmost care, his tomb filled with treasures meant to ease his journey through the afterlife. His successors, eager to bask in the reflected glory of his reign, would rule for generations, but none could match his longevity, his impact on the Egyptian psyche. Ramses II, the name echoed down through the centuries, long after his empire had crumbled, his cities buried beneath the shifting sands. His monuments, colossal and enduring, remained a testament to a bygone era, a civilization obsessed with achieving immortality in stone. Greek historians, Roman conquerors, Arab scholars all marveled at the scale of his achievements, the audacity of his vision. They wrote of him, their words a mix of admiration and envy, struggling to comprehend the forces that had shaped such a man, such a time. Ramses, the warrior, the builder, the diplomat, became a legend. His life a tapestry woven from fact and fiction, history and myth. His name, whispered on the desert winds, evoked a sense of wonder, a reminder of the enduring power of human ambition, the ability of one man to leave an indelible mark on the world, a mark that would outlast empires and inspire awe millennia after his passing. The Nile still flows north, a silent, eternal witness. It reflects the passing centuries, the rise and fall of empires. On its banks, the monuments of Ramses II stand in stark silhouette. Colossal statues, weathered but unbroken, their gaze fixed on a horizon unchanged by millennia. The sands of time have swallowed cities, buried empires, yet Ramses endures. His name, etched in stone, whispered on the wind, remains a testament to human ambition. We gaze upon his likeness, carved in granite, and glimpse the man within. The warrior, his jaw set with determination, eyes narrowed against the desert sun. The builder, surveying his domain, his hand tracing the lines of a temple. The statesman, receiving envoys, his face a mask of diplomacy. But Ramses, the man, remains an enigma, a whisper in the chambers of history, his thoughts, his dreams lost to the sands of time. Perhaps the answer lies not in the grand narratives of history, but in the quiet contemplation of his works. Stand before the facade of Abu Simbel as the rising sun paints the colossal statues in hues of gold. Feel the weight of their gaze, the echoes of an empire long vanished. Walk the halls of the Ramesseum, its courtyards hushed, its shadows deep. Trace your fingers along the hieroglyphs, their stories etched in stone. Ramses the Great, the name still resonates. His story, a tapestry woven from fact and fiction, history and myth, continues to captivate. Ramses, the legend, endures, and in his shadow we glimpse the boundless possibilities of our own humanity.